Good morning, everybody. Welcome. How you doing? Wow, the weekend's over. It's Monday on the Morning Night Live, which you know what that means. It's Metal Monday, but I can't do it yet. But anyway, oh, wait. It says YouTube's not even. Oh, well, I hope this works. Anyway, hope you're getting a good signal here. I had a great weekend. Thank you, Rich, for asking, who was first in the chat. On Friday, my daughter and her significant other, and my son and his significant other, and several of his friends came over, and we grilled some steaks and ate outside, and it was a beautiful evening. Had a little fire pit going, and it was a good weekend. And then yesterday, did some yard work and planted some more flowers because, you've seen my garden. I got to update that too. I have the update on my garden outro, but I didn't add it in yet. So we'll get to that. But anyway, got a lot to catch up on over the weekend. Obviously, the big protest in Washington happened, and there were, all kinds of stuff going on regarding that. And I'll spend most of the time talking about that today. I'm going to avoid, I don't think I'm going to do Twitter trends today, unless I really need to fill time. But I have a bunch of bookmarks from Twitter that I've been bookmarking over the last week or so that I want to get to. So we'll get to those. We'll do that. Everything that we normally do on the Morning Night Live after the intro. Play it, Johnny. Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way, but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, yours truly, PDawg Knight. Stop the music and, well, actually, let's start the music because it is Metal Monday. I hear it coming. Yeah. It makes you want to scream. And I have my cup of Reparations coffee to keep me mellowed out. Anyway, all right. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. It is Monday, June 8th, 2020, the 346th episode of the Morning Night Live. I am so glad you're here. Remember, if you like what we do, hit the like button sometime during the stream. Also, if you'd share the stream out, that is key. I did not tweet this out today, so maybe one of you did already. I'm just going to retweet one of you because, there, Lindsay, thank you. I'm retweeting Lindsay. I'm retweeting Cindy Rochelle. If you can retweet one of my retweets, if you're on Twitter, that'd be great. Also, you can hit the share arrow down below. Super chats are through Streamlabs link, which is PDawgnight.live. It's in the description down below. It's right under my face. It's in the chat eventually. So let's just enjoy the show. Quick question was, what team jersey is that? Actually, this is it's a shirt that we wear at the Timberwolves Lynx Basketball Academy, which is I used to work for, or I used to do clinics, and I'm a basketball coach, kind of by trade, and I do clinics and training and things like that, and I've worked for the Timberwolves Lynx Basketball Academy for probably about 10 years now. So hopefully that'll answer your question. Now, before we get into it, let's say good morning to everybody. First in the chat today was our friend Richo, who gets the bell. Also, good morning, Mr. Scott, Renee Mayette, Chi-Town J, E. Michael, Molly Mags, CNN sucks, but, that's redundant. Amy in Connecticut, Adam, Richard, Sean, DW, Stab, and Joe Scarborough, don't hurt me, sir. Good morning to also Black Hebrew Israelite.
That's right.
And Mr. Scott, I already said. Let's see, I got Hey Larry. Hey Larry. Also, Green Badger Outdoors, Cynical Lindsay, oh man, all kinds of people coming in. I see, hey, this is Kyle just dropped in with the $2 super chat. First super chat of the day saying, hello, chat people and PDawg. Well, hey to you too. This is Kyle. Also, let me restart the Streamlabs here real quick. Also, good morning. Let's see, who else we got down here? We got Maniac Man. We got Katie Did Skate. And Adam Richard. I said Adam Richard. Select a boy. Yeah!
Yeah, boy.
And Sapphire Dragon. And I think I'm caught up with everybody right now. Oh, and Midday Sun. Hello, and also Maddie on the MWM Media tag today, and Richard Cranium. All right, that's good for a good start. We'll try to catch people as they come in. If I miss you, just keep chatting. I'll figure it out eventually. Hit the like button while you're at it. All right, so a whole bunch of stuff this weekend, a whole bunch of stuff, because they had protests all over the world in almost every major city, but the big one in Washington, Seattle, London, Paris, New York City, all basically all the major cities around the world. All you need. What's up, Malia Carr? Hello from my other friend from Down Under. Good morning. So protest all over the world. Sydney, I think there was one in Sydney. Am I right, Malia? I know there was protest in Australia too. I need a longer cord for my headphones to keep pulling out. Which I'm gonna actually I got some already ordered. Never mind. So lots of stuff going on. Let's talk about the United States though. Couple big things that happened over this weekend. First of all, a suspect has been arrested in the fatal shooting of retired St. Louis Police Captain David Dorn. Here is the New York Post article. A 24-year-old St. Louis man has been arrested in the fatal shooting of retired police captain during the night of looting in the city last week, local prosecutors said on Sunday. Stephen Cannon was charged with first-degree murder in the death of the 77-year-old David Dorn, who was gunned down early Tuesday in front of a pawn shop he was trying to protect from looters, St. Louis Circuit Attorney Kim Gardner said. Now, here's my problem. This is fantastic news, by the way. I am a little bit annoyed with St. Louis Circuit Attorney Kim Gardner. Kim Gardner is, remember I was telling you a while back ago that there were all these like district attorneys that run for office in all these cities that have been funded by the man you should never name without being accused of anti-Semitism, but it's a fact that many of these people have been backed by that particular individual, and she has released. Now I don't think she's released Stephen Cannon yet. Stephen Cannon's actually in jail without bond or bail. But all the other people that they've arrested in St. Louis for various acts during the peaceful protest, or once peaceful protest that turned into something else, she's let them all go. She just let them all go on their own recognizance. Now, I don't know what the scale of some of the things that some of these people have done is, but I still go, holy shit. There's people not happy about it. But anyway, at least in this case, we'll see. There's no bail, no bond, probably because it's first-degree murder, but we'll see if she lets him out too. Dorn's last moment were apparently posted on Facebook Live, though the video has since been taken down. He was a friend of the pawn shop's owner and would check on the property, including when its burglar alarm went off. Court documents state that Cannon was one of the multiple people seen on surveillance footage entering the store and stealing TVs, local outlet Fox 24 now reported. He then allegedly walked toward the street corner with a gun in his hand. At the time the shots were fired, Cannon was the only person standing at that corner, as a probable cause statement reads. Multiple plumes of smoke could be seen coming from where Cannon was standing, and shell casings were found on the spot. Thank you. We've got our second super chat of the day. I'm going to stop and read this one. Dixon, thank you for the super chat. Yes, Dixon Butts with the 223 saying, "What's up, bitch?" No, really, that's what it says. It says, "What's up, bitch?" Sorry, I hope I didn't drown your ears out, but that's what Dixon Butts says, so I'm going to read it as it's written, which I do most of the time, unless I'm trying to be subtle with some certain things. But anyway, all right, what's up, bitch? I don't know what that means. Are you calling me a bitch? Or a bitch? Anyway. Thank you, Dixon. Thank you, Dixon Butts. I appreciate the $2.23 super chat. Yes, by the way, the alerts on the super chats, if you go into the Streamlabs link that tells you what's on these, or even look in the description down below, there are special alerts for different dollar amounts, and people have been testing those out. Dixon Butts is the master of the 223, and that would be the I think it's the boomer mom having a stroll down the path. Anyway, we did see our first shake weight alert the other day. That was awesome. That's those are my favorites, but they cost a little more. But anyway, they're worth it. They're worth it. And, okay, so so anyway, good news that they caught this man. Let's move on. The president has ordered, well, I don't know, order restored, but the protests on Saturday and Sunday were far more peaceful and I shouldn't say far more peaceful. The protests in general have been peaceful. It's just been the aftermath of the protests that has not been peaceful. The protests themselves have been, fairly just, people bad, people saying things that I don't agree with everything, but some of the things are certainly worth what they're saying. But anyway, Donald Trump has withdrawn the National Guard from Washington, D.C. President Donald Trump on Sunday ordered the National Guard to withdraw from the District of Columbia as violent protests in the city subsided. I've just given the order for our National Guard to start the process of withdrawing from Washington, D.C. now that everything is under perfect control, Trump wrote on Twitter. Now, I know the mayor of D.C. is probably not going to be happy with that verbiage, but I don't give a shit because she's just, she is what she does what she does. Good morning, Sugar Blue Driftwood is in the chat. Good morning. Also, Irish Rose. Good morning. Irish Rose usually lurks. Every once in a while, she's able to chime in on the chat, and I always appreciate that. Thank you. I think, I don't know if actually, I haven't confirmed if you're a she or he. I just assumed she, but Irish Rose, I could be an Irish Rose. I'm half Irish, and I'm certainly a gentle flower. But anyway, so Trump's decision to order troops followed by a heavy show of force in the district quickly restored order, though the protests continued. The president specified, however, he could send the troops back if the protests became violent again. They will be going home, but I can quickly return if needed, Trump wrote. Far fewer protesters showed up last night than anticipated. On Saturday, Trump also said that there were fewer protests than he expected. Much smaller crowd in D.C. than anticipated. National Guard, Secret Service, and D.C. police have been doing a fantastic job. Well, this is Trump and his crowd assessment thing. The protests in D.C. were huge. Let's just not pretend that they weren't. But they were peaceful. There was nothing. They didn't try to overrun the White House and pull Donald Trump out that like Benghazi style or anything. Wow, that was in poor taste. I should not have said that. That was not good. But anyway, so Trump and his Twitter feed prevails. All right. Other things in the aftermath. By the way, the title of this stream is Aftermath. The Minneapolis City Council announces a veto-proof push to disband police in George Floyd aftermath. Yeah. Now, look, before I even get into this article, this whole defund the police, disband the police. Defund, disband. I don't know what it's. These people are nuts. And if that happens, you can kiss any tourism in Minneapolis goodbye. But I think they are trying to think of a way to, I don't know if they plan on disbanding and reforming. I don't know the details of this, but I do got to show you a video that I found completely hilarious. And it's Mayor Jacob Frey, who is the guy who Mayor Frey is the mayor of Minneapolis. Good morning, Mike Savage. Blurg. The mayor of Minneapolis went to the protest, I believe it was on Friday. And on Friday, being an ally and all that. And what had happened was the protesters had a very important question for Mayor Frey. And I'm just gonna show you the video. It's only a couple of minutes long. Let's just watch this video of Mayor Frey coming up to be an ally to the protesters in Minneapolis. Here we go.
You have to take responsibility here. I've been coming to grips with my own brokenness in this situation.
Now, first of all, look, no, wait a minute. If you heard what he just said there, I've been coming to grips with my own brokenness. Oh my God. Why don't you just do what a lot of these people are doing? Get on your knees and wash somebody's feet. Shut up, Mayor Frey. Your brokenness is that you allowed, no, not only allowed, but you insisted that they give up the 3rd precinct. So the 3rd precinct gets burned down. And then 2 other precincts get burned. You allowed this to happen, Mayor Frey. There's other ways to create a dialogue. But let's just continue with this moment at the Minneapolis protest. This is Mayor Frey, the little curly-haired guy with the black mask on his face. Listen along with me.
Failures, my own shortcomings, and I know there needs to be deep-seated structural reform in terms of how the department operates. The systemically racist system needs...
Jesus Christ! Mayor Frey! The systemic... What system, Mayor Frey? You are the mayor of Minneapolis. You are an ally, the mayor of Minneapolis, and it's your town. And Minneapolis has been run by Democrats since the mid-40s, and you are in a state where the governor is a Democrat, the district attorney is a Democrat, the state attorney general is a Democrat, both senators are Democrat, the governor are Democrat, everyone in that district who has anything to do with that district, Ilhan Omar, is a Democrat. What the actual fuck are you talking about? If it's systemic, then you're the system. Maybe in Minneapolis, we should try something different. But that ain't happening. That ain't happening. Although I think there's gonna be a new form of wokeness in Minneapolis by the people who pay taxes and actually vote. We'll see. But it's Minneapolis City Council is, you hear about the Portland City Council or the Seattle City Council. It's the same thing in Minneapolis. Let's continue.
To be revamped. Okay.
Oh. Wait, where? I see. Hang on. Did Jonas just pop in? I don't see it. I don't see you. Jonas, are you here? Jonas Pedersen? I think you're here somewhere. If you're here, hi. Someone says hi to you, so I'm going to say hi too. All right, there we go. Oh, just grovel a little more, Mayor Frey. By the way, I'm going to back this up a little bit. If you think what the mayor here is doing is leading, put a 1 in the chat. If you think what he's doing is anything but leading, put any number but 1.
The systemically racist system needs to be revamped.
The systemic systems of systems.
Okay. The police union needs to be put in its place. We need to make sure that everything from the union contract to the way that the arbitration functions to the way that our officers and the culture in the department behaves.
Jacob Fry, we have a yes or no question.
Yes or no question for you, Jacob Fry.
Hey, this up, y'all.
Jacob, we have a question for you. Here's the question, Jacob.
Jacob Fry, we have a yes or no question.
Yes or no?
For you.
Yes or no? This is like Paradise by the Dashboard Light. Yes or no. Let me sleep on it, baby. Let me sleep on it. Let me sleep on it. I'll give you an answer in the morning.
No, will you commit to defunding Minneapolis Police Department? What did I say?
Oh, look at the deer in the headlights. Look at his face.
We don't want no more police.
No more police. No. Wait a minute. Hold up. We want no more police. Okay. I think maybe... Okay, there's a problem. What happens when someone in the hood gets shot by a drive-by or a gangbanger? What do you want to do about that? Are you just going to have some vigilante justice? Or are you going to have pitchforks and torches? Are you going to have posse comitatus? I don't know.
That clear.
Yes.
People with guns tooling around in our community.
Wait, hold it. People with guns tooling around. You know, when I lived in Minneapolis back in the late 90s, you know what the nickname for Minneapolis was? It's not so much anymore. The crime is down big time since the 90s. Minneapolis had the nickname of Murderapolis because there was all kinds of people shooting each other over drugs. But that was kind of cities all around the country back in the late 90s. But Murderapolis, because we had a record number of murders during those years.
Shooting us down, you have an answer.
Oh,
It is
one.
a yes or a no. It is a yes or a no.
You're not answering that question because you can't answer it that way.
Minneapolis Police Department. All right, be quiet, y'all. Be quiet, because it's important that we actually hear this.
Now,
It's
watch
important
this.
that we
This
hear
is
'cause if
embarrassing.
Y'all don't know, he's up for re-election next year.
He's up for re-election. Well, how many of you actually vote in that crowd?
He's up for re-election next year. And if he says no, guess what the fuck we gonna do next year?
Okay, now, so look. So this is kind of what's a word for this? It's not blackmail. It's kind of like, putting him on the spot on something that he can't necessarily answer. I just don't get it. But anyway.
What'd you say?
I do not support full abolition.
All right, get the fuck out of here. Go.
Now watch this. This is like fucking Game of Thrones. Watch this shit. They made us. They parted the sea. They parted a whole path for him to leave. Look at this. Oh my God. Now look. They absolutely need to fix some stuff with police. And here's the thing. So part of the thing about defunding the police, here's what I think will happen. Part of the reason when they say disband the police and then start over, what I think that might do is destroy the union. So these democratic cities are busting a union. By the way, yes, they did do that. In the longer version of that video, they were yelling, shame, 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 shame. So anyway, here's the details on the Minneapolis City Council. Minneapolis's left-leaning city council members on Sunday announced a veto-proof push to disband the Minneapolis Police Department, ramping up a major conflict inside the city following the death of George Floyd while in police custody. Many activists have been pushing at least for their cities to defund local police departments, a move many other analysts consider unrealistic. The measure has been their main focus for many people protesting against police brutality. Supporters of the moves told Fox News, "We recognize that we don't have all the answers about what a police-free future looks like, but our community does. We're committing to engaging with every willing community member in the city of Minneapolis over the next year to identify what safety looks like for you." Look, you have to have a substitute for it. You have to have something that investigates items. I don't know if they're thinking of they're going to try and have the county sheriff's officers come in, but Minneapolis is too big for that. The Hennepin County Sheriff's Office would have to be expanded by leaps and bounds, and you're probably going to get some of the same people who were in Minneapolis working there. If you could encourage people in the community, some kids who want to be police, that would help have people from the community be policing, but still, it's, I don't know. Supporters of the move, the city council members spoke at a protest at Powderhorn Park, a neighborhood in Minneapolis. That's in North Minneapolis. The number of supporters in attendance represented a veto-proof majority to push the measure through, according to Fox 9. CARE listed the council president, Lisa Bender, VP Andrea Jenkins, and council members Alondra Kaino, Jeremiah Ellison, that's Keith Ellison's son, who is also Antifa. Steve Fletcher, Philip Cunningham, Cam Gordon, and Jeremy Schroeder as attending the event, most of whom took turns to address the gathering crowd. Ellison is the son of State Attorney General Keith Ellison. Most members of the city council belong to the Minnesota Democratic Farmer Labor Party. That's Democrats in Minnesota. That's what they call them. So here's a couple tweets. Everyone at the stage supports this statement. Crowd chanting defund Minneapolis Police Department. We'll try and get you all the exact text of these banners later. All right. So anyway, then some group, this group called Reclaim the Block, also tweeted, when abolitionists fought for the end of slavery, a lot of white people said it was impossible. But there were visionaries who knew it was possible. It was worth it. We are here to make history today, to rebuild our city on a different foundation. Well, if you could get everyone to stop doing all the crimes that happen in cities, if you got a plan for that, hey, I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it work. If you could have that utopia, that would be awesome. I'm just not buying it. It'd be like the Old West where the people who could afford a security would hire security, and they would be the ones kind of taking the law in their own hands. I don't get it. You know what? If you disband the police, hey, let's do this. Let's disband the IRS too. Let's disband the state attorney general too. Let's disband the district attorney's office. Because there's no police, you're not arresting anybody. So what do they have to do anyway? How you do that? How do you do that? I don't know. Maybe they've got a plan. I do not know. Moving on. By the way. Oh, that didn't work.
Your life makes me sad.
Oh, there we go. Anyway, there's always an angle. Tucker Carlson has a theory about why some big corporations stop. Jesus Christ, no, I don't want notifications to get this shit off my screen. Thank you. Tucker has a plan, or at least a theory. Tucker has a theory about why the big corporations are paying for riots. Okay, I don't know, riots. That's a little harsh. But anyway, here. Why is that thing's turning and twisting? I want it to play. Okay, well, there's an ad that I'm going to let the ad go by first. Anyway, Fox News host Tucker Carlson, listed several U.S. major corporations that have given money to various groups behind ongoing protests, many of which have turned into riots. Probably no fault of the organizers, but somebody got that shit going. Anyway, during the Thursday night Tucker Carlson night segment, Tucker speculated that those corporations lack support of small businesses devastated by the looting and destruction of property in many cities was because of a desire to reduce competition. Ooh, I don't know about all that, Tucker. Tucker, what are you talking about? Anyway, let's hear what Tucker has to say. Oh,
a lot recently.
Here, let's start it over. Here we go. Come on.
How dare you criticize them? You're hearing that message from virtually every American corporation right now, every university, every major media outlet. The rioters burning down your city with the support of virtually everyone richer than you are, quote, unheard. You, by contrast, are the oppressor. And if you disagree in any way, we're going to fire you and wreck your life.
Yep.
The corporations aren't simply tweeting their support for the riots, they're paying for them, too. Recently, the CEO of Cisco announced that his company is donating $5 million to the Black Lives Matter Foundation.
Ooh.
Airbnb is donating $500,000. So is Dropbox. Video game maker Ubisoft is giving $100,000. Intel has pledged $1 million to assorted anti-racism groups and is pressuring its employees to donate more of their money to the foundation, the Black Lives Matter Foundation. And then there's Pepsi. Pepsi's donating too. This revolution is.
I wonder if they're donating Kylie Jenner. I'm just asking. I don't know. Anyway, go ahead.
To you by your local PepsiCo bottler. Tired after a long day of looting?
Damn, Tucker.
So the question is, now that it's getting all this corporate money, what exactly does the Black Lives Matter Foundation believe? Well, less than a week ago, the group launched a petition to defund all police departments nationwide.
Hello, Tyler
The
F.
group's co-founder, Patrice Cullors, says we should abolish
Hello, Anna Lynn, too. How you doing?
all prisons. So does Intel want 1.7 million felons released onto America's streets? Do they want all 700,000 cops fired tomorrow? It's not clear what they want, but they're paying for that. Maybe they think they can look good for the mob by funding the cause. Who knows what they want, but they're responsible for this. On the other hand, the foundation says, the Black Lives Matter Foundation says, that one of its other goals is to, quote, disrupt the Western prescribed nuclear family structure.
That's the one that I don't get. Oh my God. How does that help black people? How does that help black lives? It doesn't. Circa Zero, how you doing? Yes, you caught me live. I am live. I'm alive. He's alive. Anyway.
Well, that's certainly a goal major corporations.
Yeah, and
can
you know
get
what? The destruction of the black family, or at least the black nuclear family, hey, that seems to coincide with the rise of the black poverty rate. Shocker. Great job, corporations. Anyway, and look, by the way, well, I don't want to say it's a myth, but I mean, it's not that. Never mind. I'm yeah, never mind.
behind. People who aren't encumbered by families won't be distracted from being the dutiful little worker bees they like most. Married children. Stop! Get back to work. Some companies are donating to, or encouraging employees to donate to, the NAACP Legal Defense Fund. Right now, that group's Twitter page denies that the riots even exist. And instead, they're blaming police for the violence. Okay. The NAACP fund is also promoting bail funds. Those get violent
I don't get that
rioters
either.
out of jail immediately. So with all this money flowing out of this country's most profitable corporations, it might be a nice gesture for those corporations to donate some money to, I don't know, rebuild some of the small businesses that have been destroyed over the past year.
Yeah.
There are a lot of them. They desperately need the help. Oh, but they're not going to do that. Because for a lot of big corporations, the total annihilation of small businesses is one of the best parts of this new revolution. There's always an angle. Someone's always getting more powerful. And by the way, it's not just big corporations. Tomorrow we will name the celebrities who are donating to get the looters, the destroyers, the violent thugs out of prison so they can keep doing it. Be sure to catch that. We have the...
So that's an interesting angle. Oh, let's stop this. I don't need to see. I don't need to see Joe. All right, let's come on. All right, stop there. We'll pause that. Anyway, interesting angle that these big corporations. Hey, all these little businesses, they can just fuck them over. But the other one, when I logged onto Amazon because I was ordering some new headphones because these headphones suck and the cord's too short. I ordered some new headphones, and when I went onto Amazon a couple days ago, the first thing on is this big Black Lives Matter banner all right across there. And I'm thinking, okay, is that the best you got? Black Lives Matter? That's a pretty low bar. Anyway, all right, let's move on. By the way, thank you, Becca Fairley, Scribe Light, and Dar, and Chi-Town J, and everyone who's retweeting all the tweets of the show. I appreciate that. By the way, just a reminder, hit the like button if you like what we're doing, except for Duck Dog. By the way, I see Duck Dog's here too. I knew you were here because you are every time. Hey, wait a minute. What was that guy's name? Dixon? Duck Dog. Do you know Dixon? I think I figured something out. Thank you. All right, moving on. All right, that was Tucka. Enough of Tucka. Oh, Now this is really awful too. We got another officer who's been killed in this whole thing. Now I don't know if this is related. I guess we'll read this real quick. Santa Cruz County Sheriff's deputy was killed and other officers were injured after a man who was stockpiling an arsenal of bombs and guns opened fire on them on Saturday, according to local media reports. I don't think this has anything to do with the doesn't seem to be anything to do with the this doesn't have anything. I thought this had something to do with the protest, but apparently not. Sergeant Damon Gutzwaller, 38, was fatally shot after officers responded to reports of a suspicious van near Ben Lehman Boulevard. Sheriff Jim Hart told reporters Saturday night, according to ABC News 7. The person who called the report said they saw a cache of guns and bomb-making equipment inside the van, according to Hart. Words cannot express the pain we feel for Damon and his family, Hart said during a news conference referring to Gutzwiller, who is survived by his wife and a young child. He was the kind of person we all hoped to be. Today we lost a hero. We are grateful to have known him, and we mourn his family. So here's the reason. I'm not sure why I made a mistake on this, but this kind of also tells you that, you know what, being a law enforcement officer is a dangerous job. I understand that sometimes they will make mistakes and they'll have look, here's the thing. We have this big thing right now about unarmed black men being killed, or unarmed black people being killed. And it's a problem, unarmed anybody being killed, especially in a case like George Floyd or like what's his name? Tony Timpa. Okay. Where they are already subdued. They're already in handcuffs. And yet the officers are the cause of their death. Okay. Unarmed people being killed by the police. However, every year, there are far more police officers killed in the line of duty than there are unarmed people of any race who are killed. Does it make it right that unarmed people of any race are killed by police? No, it doesn't. Not at all. I'm not making a value comparison. I'm just giving you a point to ponder. We lose far more officers to criminals than unarmed civilians. Now, again, officers killed 1,004 people last year. Vast majority of them, I would say in the high 90s%, justified use of force. Okay. I know that people have been struggling with the Breonna Taylor case, and I'm still not. Every time I hear someone talk about it, I hear different opinions about it. I still don't know where I'm standing on that one. Okay, now I'm learning that perhaps the warrant was they went to the wrong home, and so when the boyfriend got up and shot at the officers, and they returned fire, the warrant was at the wrong place, and it was a no-knock warrant. Which I have a question about no-knock warrants. I don't know. I think maybe serving a warrant would be a better idea, but in this case, it was a legal no-knock warrant. And I got a big family. I see you, Duck Dog. Oh, Willie, what's happened? I see you in the chat too. Good morning. I think the reason, I guess what's interesting in that case, people are calling for the arrests of the officers who served this warrant that returned fire after being shot at. I'm not sure. I can at least in my mind, I can understand why they're not being prosecute? Should they be on leave? Should they be figure out? Oh, big assassin! I didn't see you either. Good morning. If I didn't, you know, it is certainly the city or the state or whatever certainly can have a wrongful death suit. I could see the officers being reassigned if there was some reason that they were the reason that they were in the wrong place. I can't see it being this is one of those limited immunity cases. Where there's, again, no attention by the officers, but somebody fucked up and somebody needs to pay for fucking up. But in the heat of the battle, someone shoots at you and you're an officer, you're not required to risk your life. You're required, as far as training goes, to protect yourself in the return fire. Unfortunately, the shots hit her and not him, and unfortunately they're in the wrong place. And I don't know. That's a tough case, but her name brought up a lot this weekend. All right, I got to move on though. Let's keep moving going here. So you've seen a lot of fucketry, which we'll get into in my Twitter segment today. But here's an officer in Georgia who, I don't know, he might take some flack in the coming days. Georgia State, I only kneel for one person. This black Georgia State trooper refuses to kneel at a Black Lives Matter protest. Oh boy. A Georgia law enforcement officer refused to kneel for protesters at a Black Lives Matter rally in Hartwell, Georgia on Sunday. I don't think they should kneel. Stand alongside them. Maybe if they're kneeling and they're having a prayer or something, maybe. But look, I don't think they should do that. But anyway, instead, Georgia State Trooper Georgia State Trooper O'Neal Sadler was recorded telling a female protester that he only kneels for one person, and that is God. The video, which first posted on Facebook by Nerubian Photography, was shared Saturday on Twitter by students for Trump President Ryan Fournier. Okay, I don't know why I'm not getting it's not coming up here. He said, I was supposed to be out of town this weekend with my wife. Sadler was seen telling a female protester after she apparently asked him to kneel. I took off this weekend, but I'm out here just to make sure you all are safe. Don't go there with respect, okay? I have much respect, but I only kneel for one person, and that's God. While police kneeling or marching with protesters in an act of solidarity has been commonplace as protests sparked by the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis Police Department custody continue to spread across the country, some protesters considered it a PR stunt. That does not help their movement. Hey, I can see that. Let me see if I can get to the tweet. Here we go. So let's see if they have the video here real quick. Okay, here it is. Let's play this video for you. Just a second here. We'll full screen this.
This weekend with my wife.
Here we go.
Have any respect. I I'm supposed to be out of town this weekend with my wife. I took off today, this weekend, but I'm out here to make sure y'all safe. But don't go there with respect, okay?
Thank you.
I have much respect, but I only kneel for one person.
And that's God.
God down there.
But what if you
have any respect?
What about? No, he walked away. He said, "Fuck it, I ain't listening to this bullshit." All right, so big respect for the trooper there. Moving on, Bronx shop owner says looters targeted minorities during riots. That's interesting to hear. He looks like a racist. Damn, Cindy. All right, a store in New York is speaking out following the destructive riots and looting that severely hurt his business on Monday night. I'm going to guess that this man Well, let me see what he says here first before I speculate. The quarantine hit me hard. I closed completely for almost 2 months. We were just getting back up on our feet with online sales. 25-year-old Oscar Izaguirre, who owns Oscar's Golden Diamonds, told the New York Post Saturday. His parents opened the shop in the Bronx after moving from Peru and worked hard to put him and his siblings through college. When friends called Monday to warn him that rioters were headed his way, Izaguirre said he felt terrified. There's millions of dollars of merchandise along with 15 or so friends. I moved everything to a safe location, he recalled, adding that he later watched men with sledgehammers break into the store via security cameras. Izaguirre continued. By the time I got there were gunshots and fires in the street. Some people had weapons, crowbars, bricks. I was afraid they'd burn up my store, but I stood 20 feet away and said nothing. I was afraid for my life. For several hours, I watched looters go into my store and break the cameras, bash the glass cases, destroy the wiring, even knock out the ceiling tiles. Every store around me got trashed, and I did not hear one rant for justice or for George Floyd. Not in the Bronx, not that night. That night, they were targeted minorities. They were opportunists who just wanted to steal. And that... that in a nutshell probably is my feeling about the... Remember I said there are 3 groups of people involved in these events? There are the protesters, the people there who are sincerely there to protest for a cause, to protest the killing of George Floyd, to protest what they believe is systematic killing of black people, which is something I struggle with the idea because I don't think that's the case. But anyway, that's what they're protesting. That's fine. They're protesters. The second group are the people who are just there to break shit. Okay? They want to cause chaos. They want to cause anarchy. These are the anarchist Antifa types. Maybe there might be some of those boogaloo dickheads in there too. But people who just want to cause chaos, want to wreak havoc on the place. And then the third group are the opportunists. The opportunists are the ones who say, hey, well, we're down there as a big protest. There's nothing's going to stop us because there's too many of us. So we're just going to steal shit while the anarchists are breaking shit. And so they don't give a rat's ass about George Floyd. They're selfish fucktards who probably deserve to be in jail for the rest of their lives or something. Well, not the rest of their lives, but plenty of more of their life than that's happening right now. So FTG to the anarchists and the opportunists. And I have respect for the protesters, whether I agree with everything they say or not. However, Manhattan District Attorney Cy Vance said Friday that rioters arrested for low-level crimes low-level crimes such as unlawful assembly and disorderly conduct would not face any charges, according to Breitbart News. Well, what? What did he... Unlawful assembly or disorderly conduct? Well, I don't even know what unlawful assembly is. Unless you're out after a curfew. But that's not the problem. Nobody gives a fuck about the unlawful assembly. No. It's the people breaking shit and stealing and robbing stores and setting shit on fire. That should be still in jail that you're letting them go to because the local district attorney there is also one of those... how do I put this gently? Supported by the, that one guy that you shouldn't say his name because it's kind of like Voldemort. You better not say his name or you'll be accused of, well, I won't even say that word either. All right. The announcement means the overwhelming majority of the hundreds of rioters in New York City will not face any criminal prosecution, the report noted, despite the violent protests and demonstrations that swept. Now, see, here's the thing. Let's analyze that portion of a sentence. Despite the violent protests and demonstrations that swept across the city recently. See, the protesters, the actual protesters and the actual protests are not the violent part. And yet, because the protesters themselves really didn't do anything to curb this other bullshit, their protests are now can be described as violent protests and demonstrations. Because that's what they end up turning into. So you see, it absolutely takes away from your message. I'm glad, though, that, you know, that the protest of this weekend didn't turn violent. Okay, that was necessary. They had to have something that wasn't violent. Even though, again, I don't agree with everything they say, but more power to them if they want to protest. Despite the violent protests and demonstrations that swept across the city, recently Mayor Bill de Blasio tweeted Sunday that officials had committed to moving resources from the New York Police Department to Youth and Social Services as a part of our city's budget. He tweeted, "This morning we've committed to move resources from the NYPD to Youth and Social Services as a part of the city budget. Our young people need to be reached, not policed." Except for the youth that are killing other people. Maybe those need to be policed. But yeah, let's see. Hey, I'm all for it. If you can find a way to create utopia where no crime ever happens again, your best way to do it is start with the youth. So maybe, just maybe, it's not the worst idea in the world. Good morning, Midnight in Exile. Good morning, Cairo Alexander. How you doing? But interesting though that this Izagira thought that minority business were being targeted. I don't know if that's probably not the case. It's probably just that where he lives, there's a lot more minority businesses, and his particular business, gold and silver shit, that's a pretty good target if you're just there to steal shit. Right? Pawn shops and gold places are pretty good target because there's usually lots of things that you can buy and that are worth money and whatnot. De Blasio's kids are Antifa BLM too. Yeah, I know. His daughter was arrested too. Anyway, Izagara noted that by breaking into and stealing from his store, the looter sent a message that he did not deserve what he and his family worked so hard to achieve. But I'm a minority too. My family and I have worked our whole lives for this, he concluded. Yep, well, I don't know. I got a feeling Bill de Blasio's in for a rude awakening the next time he's up for re-election. I'm just saying. All right, what else I got? I got a couple more, and then we'll get into the Twitter stuff that I bookmarked this weekend. Let's see. Oh my gosh, if you haven't seen this, so I have seen this. I drove down there, and I'll probably go down there again to take some more pictures. But stunning video of Minneapolis riot aftermath. Democrat rule will equal American ruins, according to this article. A stunning video capturing the aftermath of the rioting in Minneapolis shows buildings and homes burned to the ground, property utterly destroyed and vandalized, and some buildings still on fire, reminiscent of a war zone. Now, I was watching this. I'll show you the video in a second. But I think this video, a lot of it was taken not this past weekend, but the prior weekend when we were down there, because there were some stuff still burning. There was, it looked, believe me, it looks like a war zone down there. Anyway, protests erupted across the nation last week in response to the death. Okay, we know that. George Floyd. Thank you, Daily Wire, for reminding us Floyd, who is black, died after a police officer had his knee on the 46-year-old's neck for over 8 minutes during an arrest. Yes, we know he's black, Daily Wire. And everybody else who writes articles, I don't think there's a person in America who doesn't know that George Floyd was black. And for the most part, I'm guessing most people know that Derek Chauvin, the officer who had his knee on his neck, was white. Anybody who didn't know that? No, but you probably don't hear that often. They don't mention this. They don't They don't mention it, but the two rookie officers who were in training with Derek Chauvin, who have also been charged with accessory to murder. One of them is white, and one of them is black or African American, or, well, I won't say POC, because two of the officers, of the four officers involved, 50%, meaning two, were people of color. That officer standing by, watching and trying to keep the bystanders away from the scene? Ah, yes, he was Laotian. That's Asian for those of you who don't know what Laotian is. And one of the two officers on top of George Floyd was a black man, officer in training. It'll be interesting to see if the rookies actually get, if they are convicted of something, or if they're going to get prison sentences. I mean, literally, they were in training. But anyway, yeah, you don't hear that too often, though, do you? 50% of the officers involved were people of color. I hate people of color. Asians are too people of color. I don't know. I guess everyone's a person of color because, you know, beige is a color. I don't know. Yeah, no, they were, okay, not POC. Okay, minority. Don't Asians explain to me. Yeah, I tell you. So anyway, here's the video. I'll just show you the video. Let's go full screen here. And this is, it's sad to me because I know I know all these places. I used to hang out down there. I used to live down on 4 blocks from Lake Street on Grand Avenue, which is about 5 blocks over from where George Floyd was killed. And you know, it was a great place to live, actually. I know white's a color. Well, actually, isn't white absence of color? I think white is absence of color. Anyway, so this is just, that's the, yeah, look at that. That's just, in fact, I probably have everything they drive by here in this video. I have photos of, because when Lady Boomer and I went down there, we were taking pictures of all this stuff. Anyway, there's the Walgreens destroyed. There's one of the fires. This had to be a week ago Saturday. They took this. There's the autos. That's the auto zone where the mysterious dickhead with the umbrella and the black respirator was breaking windows on the side. That's the auto zone. We used the pictures you saw. Let's see. So anyway, so that's the video that they're talking about here. It really is sad. And you know, there's, you know, they burned the White Castle. Damn it. I used to go to the White Castle there after bars closed all the time. There's a couple liquor stores and stuff down there. But anyway, let's see. What's my last one here? And finally, oh, in Seattle, you probably haven't heard this story. Here's what you didn't know about that hero's takedown of Antifa with an AR-15 at the Seattle riot. So this guy, is this the guy? Anyway, let's see. At this time when cops are taking knees in supplication to the mobs and rioters are in the streets, there's one more question I keep coming back to. No, it's not the existential question of the day. It's this. Who was that hero security guy in Seattle? Who was Shaft, as I dubbed him, and what's his story? Information about the man and the crazy atmosphere on May 30th in Seattle are much clearer today. We already knew the guy was a hero. Watch the video following the tweet if you doubt it, and we'll watch this video afterwards. Let's see if I can get this. Let's see if I can open this up. We'll pause this video. All right. Okay, that's there. All right, here we go. But after hearing him tell his story, we now learn things that were far more harrowing and scary for him. and the people he was hired to protect, a TV news crew. I wrote about, as I wrote just a week ago, a bandana wearing Antifa dirtbag stole an AR-15 type rifle from one of two smashed up police cars. The cars, one of which was burning, was tagged with the left's favorite anti-cop epithet, ACAB, all cops are bastards. Knowing Antifa's thuggery and how cops are too busy to protect anyone, one TV news station had the foresight to hire what they called a security guard. This was no mall cop. George Orwell famously said, people peaceably in their beds at night only because... Okay, people sleep peaceably in their bed at night only because rough men stand ready to do violence on their behalf. And thank God a Seattle TV station hired one. As the mayor ordered police officers and National Guard troops to corral the protesters, fetch them water, and cut their meat for them, there was this guy. Q News 13 confirms that it hired Shaft above, who looked like he was 2 parts top security professional and 1 part raw nerve. So this is Shaft right here, I think. But that wasn't the half of it. What we suspected, but couldn't confirm, during the Seattle riots last Saturday was that Antifa rioters got hold of 2 police AR-15 rifles from inside a locked police cars and started firing. 4 rounds were fired into an empty police car. An eyewitness says he heard shots and saw one of the masked males shooting the rounds into the police car. Holes were seen on the side of the car. The eyewitness? Shaft. Shaft has a name, but I'm not saying it. We know that the rage mobs will do. We know what the rage mobs will do to him. But he does have an Instagram account under the name nom de plume at Shooter Rougie. This is at Shooter Rougie's account. Let's see. Okay, I'll go back to that later. Shooter, nay Shaft, recounts his story of heroism, not that he calls it that, on his Instagram page. He pulled his Glock, put it at high ready, and fluidly moved to the D-bag, dirtbag, douchebag, whichever you choose, armed with an AR-15. And then he took it. Shooter owns his own fledgling company that works security on the side. He's a veteran of the U.S. Marine Corps and was a sharpshooter. He obviously keeps up with his skill set. What Shooter told Mickey Shook of the Higher Line podcast was positively stunning. Here's how he described what occurred during the active shooter takedown at the May 30th riot in downtown Seattle. He said he thought a lot about what his role would be as he drove to his security gig. He was trying to blend in and not engage. I was trying to do the whole gray man theory, slip in, slip out with no one noticing and get through the day. So that involved me walking through the crowd and chanting. I had magazines at my side. He simply wanted to protect the reporter and crew and keep things peaceful, which is why when he smoothly took the gun away from the Antifa shooter and disarmed it, he didn't take the weapon for his own use. I was trying not to get in a gunfight. I was trying to take care of lives. In a gunfight, that's a tactically sound decision, but that wasn't my situation. My decisions are dependent on my situation, and my situation wasn't a gunfight. So I did what I did, and I stuck with the weapon. I stuck with the weapon that I knew was reliable, my Glock. The incident left him disheartened. That incident showed the character of some Americans that is really disheartening. They wanted the mayhem. They just wanted to feed the fire. Shooter could have legally taken out the masked Antifa guy holding the guns. The second they had their hands on that firearm, I was ready with my legal limit to stop the threat with whatever force I had. My frame of mind is that I will do what is necessary to fix the problem. I always train for overseas, but do I really want to take American lives? No. The video that was seen above of the takedown began rolling right after the active shooter got done shooting 4 rounds into the cop car. The Marine told Shook that everyone that you see in that video and hundreds more are now on me. They were threatening my life. They were coming up to telling me they were going to kill me, kill my cast, TV news crew from Q13, but things got worse if you can imagine it. I wanted to get the crew out of there, but I just drew a line around myself that told everyone, that just told hundreds or thousands of people around me that I'm not with you, I don't agree with you, that I'm here for other reasons, and I'm here to do what's right, and you just stay away from me. I was just trying to create space to get my team out of there. And here's how he did it. I was drawn at the high ready for 3.5 to 4 blocks. After that, to get his crew out of there, I was getting my people out. Rifle slung with the people on me, and all the time I'm encountering new people that don't know what's going on as we're on our way. High ready looks like this. He's ready to, he's got it in shooting position. This is what Shaft. This is what Shaft did for 4 blocks in downtown Seattle amid a mob that hated him. It was 4 blocks before he saw a cop. Now imagine this on an American city street. That happened last weekend in Seattle to keep people safe. He said that he endangered his crew's lives because of his takedown of Antifa, but he had to stop the gunman from firing off more rounds and possibly killing people. He says the media reaction has been one of disbelief that Antifa shot anything up. He says gunshots weren't the loudest things being heard that day. Antifa had fireworks and the cop used flashbangs. It's understandable that the media would have missed the gunshots. His story of getting the guns back to the cops isn't one he's willing to share at this point. That sounds like it could have been a very sticky situation. After all, you don't just walk up to a strapped riot cops with your gun in your hand or even a Glock in your pocket and rifle slung over your shoulder and not expect some reaction. As for the bad guys, Shaft says he knows that cops are investigating the gunman. It's tough to ID someone with a mask over the face, which of course is the point of donning black bloc attire and garb. In the podcast below, Shooter said he believed George Floyd would not have wanted this violence and rioting done in his name. I feel like it's safe to say that George would not have wanted that, so don't disrespect someone's memory by acting on your own selfish, materialistic, unguided, and uneducated needs and wants. He had one more word for Antifa and violent Black Lives Matter rioter. Stop tearing your country apart. So here's, I think this is where he... Oh, this is the podcast. I'm going to just show you the video up here of him disarming these dick bags, which I think is, here we go. Here, let's pause this. And we'll put it full screen for you so you can see it. And here's the video of him.
Patrol vehicles that is parked right behind it. So that's the fear here with these vehicle fires, is it could spread to some other nearby vehicles. Also a concern about that building that is nearby, and it appears as if there's some folks that are trying to... All right, it looks like there's some type of weapon there. We're going to break away from that shot there. I'm not sure who that person is, but obviously a very scary and fluid situation. Patrol vehicles.
So here it is again. You can see it up at right. Look at the behind the second vehiot here. These guys got the guns, and he just walks up and takes it out of his hands. Watch this. It's like, fuck you. You get rid of that gun. Put that down. And look at all the Antifa little fuckers running away. Which they should be.
Looks like there's some type of weapon there. We're going to break away from that shot there. I'm not sure who that person is.
So
but
anyway,
very scary.
All right, more power to that guy. All right, hey gang, real quick, we're gonna get into some of the stuff I bookmarked this week. I'm skipping Twitter trends for a day because I've been busy in the bookmarking department. By the way, Furry Kitten, I see you dropped in. Also, thanks for following me on Twitter. I appreciate that. Skookum, thanks for retweeting the show. I know you have a different name in the chat. Who is Skookum? Someone in the chat is Skookum. You have a different Twitter name than your chat name, so we'll figure that out as soon as you tell me. All right, and good morning, Kessler. All right, so now let's get. I bookmarked a whole bunch of stuff this weekend, and they're not any particular order. Let's see. We'll start with. All right, first. I don't know if you may have seen this one already, but I think I've already shown you. But this is a guy who's basically lost his business, and I'm not sure if I think he might be in Minneapolis. I'm not sure where he is, but it's just here. Hang on. Oh no, this is in Detroit. Detroit father of 5 loses his home he'd been fixing up and a work truck after raging blaze. I've done anything right. How am I going to tell my kids? This. You just got to feel heartbroken for this man.
My family first. I put every dollar I got into the house.
And there's nothing left.
Like, it's a lot of stuff that I want, but I prioritize for my family. Every dollar I get, I put into my house, and I take care of my kids. So it's devastating for me, but I mean, I'm a big boy, so I'm gonna just keep on pushing. I put my family first. I put every dollar I got.
Yeah, that was kind of sad. Also, I was shocked when I saw this. Martin Luther King had a tweet a while back, and I'm like, it's a truth bomb that I never expected to see. Maybe I'll make it there. Here we go. Sean King tweets, "Stop generically telling us to vote in response to all the police brutality we have right now. Yes, we should vote, but we should be very specific. Democrats, from top to bottom, are running the cities with the worst police brutality in America right now. We voted for them." Hang on, because I need you to wait a minute. Hold it. Listen. Holy shit! Congratulations, Sean King. I don't know if you went like reverse woke or if you went a little hotep there. I don't know what you did there, but I'm not sure what you mean. Okay. I'm not sure. Now I know we've already seen this one. This is that the dumbass cyclist who was harassing the kids, who got arrested. I think we even went over the story already, but anyway, police charged cyclists in connection with assault of 3 people posting flyers in Maryland. In fact, I know we did this on Saturday, but anyway, a Maryland man is facing assault charges following an incident that occurred on the Capitol Crescent Trail earlier this week in Bethesda, according to the Maryland National Capital Park Police. On Monday at around 12:45 p.m., 3 young people, 1 man and 2 women, were posting flyers in relation to the death of George Floyd along a trail when a suspect, described as white male, forcibly grabbed the flyers from one of the victims. And this is the video of that. I think you've seen it before. Which interesting. I chuckled a little bit about this because this dude's looks like a pretty thick, big dude, right?
Hey, leave her alone.
You know, I don't think, you know, if they're doing flyers or whatever, whether you agree or not, just leave the kids alone. And he's still.
Just walk away. Hey!
Get off of her!
Just get out of here. What?
And now he chases him, and this guy falls backwards trying to run from him. And then he rode off. So anyway, he got charged. Now it's interesting because who knows? So he takes off. It's interesting because all the people saying to arrest him, this cops won't touch this guy. Better to find out who he is and let his work know that as long as he's there, no one will buy whatever it is from the offer. You know, it's funny that Twitter rage. Well, they found not only did they arrest him, and people on Twitter doxed him and all kinds of shit. I don't agree with this guy doing that shit, and I don't agree with people doxing him to try to bring harm to him. Let the police deal with it, and hopefully they'll. But anyway, they have arrested him. They've charged him. I don't know if I showed that earlier this weekend. All right. Also, the bookmark trail here. Let's see. Oh, this is pretty good. This is a. Let's see. This officer had some real solutions for protesters from a police chief.
We're asking cops to do too much in this country. We are. We're just asking us to do too much. Every societal failure, we put it off on the cops to solve. Not enough mental health funding. Let the cop handle it. Not enough drug addiction funding. Let's give it to the cops. If you're in Dallas, we got a loose dog problem. Let's have the cops chase blue stars. Schools fail. Give it to the cops. 70% of the African community is being raised by single women. Let's give it to the cops to solve that as well. That's too much to ask. Policing was never meant to solve all those problems. And I just ask for other parts of our democracy, along with the free press, to help us serve your community.
Right?
Don't be a part of the problem.
Right?
We're hiring.
We're hiring. Now that's the other part. All these people want to disband the police and want to blame the police for some of this shit and want to change the culture of police. I know that every police department in the country would love to have some more minority officers, right? They're hiring. Want to be part of the solution? They're hiring. I'm just saying.
Get out that protest line and put an application in.
Right.
And we'll put you in your neighborhood and help.
You think if you
protesting about
some of them protesters, the people in the neighborhood know you, do you think it would help if some of those people were part of the solution? Might be a good idea. I'm saying. All right, moving on back to my. Oh hell, let's see. Wait, let me find that. Okay, we saw that. Let's see this one. This is oh, you know what? Here's one. So remember the other day, Twitter deleted one of President Trump's tweets on the grounds of copyright. Now, Twitter almost never, ever nixes things because of copyright. In fact, YouTube doesn't delete posts because of copyright. They just people who make a copyright claim can monetize your video. Well, now this is amazing because I never heard any part of this speech that the president gave. And Twitter just made it impossible for people to hear it. But here is what the president tweeted that got taken down. Listen to this. Now, there's only one. By the way, I will, if you can, at the end of this, I'm going to ask you, or during this, type, when you find the controversial part of this tweet, type it in the chat. Okay, here it is. Listen to this.
The death of George Floyd on the streets of Minneapolis was a grave tragedy. It should never have happened. It has filled Americans all over the country with horror, anger, and grief. We support the right of peaceful protesters, and we hear their pleas. The voices of law-abiding citizens must be heard, and heard very loudly.
So, wait, now, I'm just going to stop for a second. How many times have you heard someone in the news or someone who's talking about the president in relation to these events say the president hasn't said anything about this? And then Twitter deletes this. I'm going to let it go here. Let me have you continue.
The family of George Floyd, with the peaceful protesters, and with every law-abiding citizen who wants decency.
He's celebrating the protesters, and nobody's giving him credit for that.
But what we are now seeing on the streets of our cities has nothing to do with justice or with peace. The memory of George Floyd is being dishonored by rioters, looters, and anarchists. The violence and vandalism is being led by Antifa and other radical left-wing groups who are terrorizing the innocent, destroying jobs.
Did this for no reason.
The mobs are devastating the life's work of good people and destroying their dreams.
I worked so hard to get here. So hard.
It harms those who have the least. We cannot and must not allow a small group of criminals and vandals to wreck our cities and lay waste to our communities. We must defend the rights of every citizen to live without violence, prejudice, or fear. Healing, not hatred, justice, not chaos, are the mission at hand. I stand before you as a friend and ally to every American seeking justice and peace. No one is more upset than fellow law enforcement officers by the small handful who fail to abide by their oath to serve and protect.
So anyway, that's just a portion of it. That is what Twitter took down. Now, the controversial part of that is obviously him mentioning Antifa. And in some ways, I wish he would have left that blank, even though I agree that that is a big part of this. And just would have left it with the anarchists and people, thieves, criminals, whatever. But it's like, hello, Larry Johnson. Black Power has been hijacked by communists. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, that is that a unifying message other than the Antifa part? Is that a message celebrating the protesters and distinguishing them from the people doing all the other stuff, the other two groups, the anarchists and the opportunists? Absolutely. He's celebrating the protesters, saying that he is with them, that there are aspects of law enforcement that are with them, that the American people are with them, that justice needs to be served, and everything else distracts from that. That's his message. And that's the message Twitter takes down. That's the message that when someone says the president isn't saying anything about this, he's not saying, keep George Floyd's name out of your mouth, fuck you. He's given that message. You know what? And this is me. Remember me? I'm not the Trump guy. But I appreciate that message. When he gets it right, give him credit for giving it right. Because if you give him credit for getting it right, that's what he'll keep doing. But y'all can't, and I don't mean y'all, my audience, but those people saying, what, the president's not saying anything about this. Really, did you hear this message from him? No, you didn't, because Twitter took it down and said there was a copyright claim on it. That's the message the nation needs to hear, but you don't want them to hear it from him. You don't want to hear it because Orange Man is bad. It's insanity. They don't want healing. They don't want an opportunity for the president to have a message that might give people some hope, because Orange Man bad. Can't have that. We can't have that. No. I have a few more. This is kind of funny. I just bookmarked this because I found humor, because my Mulder, who's Protein Wisdom, a guy I used to follow when he was blogging a lot. He highlighted this. Oh, now someone with the Krasensteins. Oh, guess what? This is Brian Krasenstein, or his uglier twin brother, who tweet under the name of one of their wives, says, Joe Biden actually proposed a bill to give the police $300 million. Next time you try to attack your opponent, maybe you should come do some research first. Oh, holy shit. You know what? Now I'm going to show you what this is a response to, but I found this hilarious. There's all these people who are talking about defunding the police, Joe Biden actually proposed a bill to give the police $300 million. Oh, shit. I don't think that's following the correct narrative right now, Mr. Krasenstein, or your ugly twin brother who tweets under the name one of your wives. So here's what this was responding to. So Donald Trump was saying, Sleepy Joe Biden and the radical left Democrats want to defund the police. I want great and well-paid law enforcement. I want law and order. Okay, now that's a controversial thing to say right now. I don't know why, but I got a feeling that that message might resonate just like it did back in 1968 when there were riots all over the country and Richard Nixon started talking about law and order. But what's interestingly different about this is that Trump has had messages also saying that George Floyd should get justice. And of course, sometimes they delete them because of copyright claims, but he's still saying it, and other people have been tweeting that out. In fact, when I tweet that out, I'd like you to retweet that too. They're trying to make that video go viral because the president can't say it, but I sure as hell can. Anyway, so that was what he was responding. I was laughing because Joe Biden actually proposed a bill to give the police $300 million. Next time you try to attack your opponent, maybe you should do some research first. Well, a lot of the radical left Democrats do want to defund the police. And I bet you Joe Biden, the amoeba kind of a politician that he is, in some places is probably going to jump on board with that message. Now, he has it on his website because directly, then they tweet, this is directly from Joe Biden's campaign page. Biden will reinvigorate the COPS program with a $300 million investment. Trump is now just saying anything he can to try to make America think that Joe Biden is something he is not. Trump is so desperate. Yeah, nah. I don't know. There certainly are plenty. Maybe tying Joe Biden to Democrats. I don't know. That sounds like that's what he's doing. Who knows if it's correct or not? For what? Wait, what's going on here? Wait, this is not what. I don't know what we're doing. Oh, okay. We're getting into a redacted argument in the chat. I'm gonna avoid that for now. All right, moving on. Yeah, that was fascinating, though. Yeah, Krasenstein, go ahead and tell your fellow Democrats that Joe Biden wants to give $300 million to the police. I don't think that'll be popular with the brothers. I wonder if this movement is going to create a lot of votes for Joe Biden, all these people protesting, or if they're going to find a way to make it get to vote for Bernie Sanders as a write-in or something. Or the real nominee, who probably will be Hillary Clinton. Oh, God, did I just say that out loud? That's a conspiracy theory. Shut up, Marty. Shut up. That is some good coffee. Okay, moving on. We're going to finish it up here. Got a couple more. Las Vegas is open, and Chris Cillizza is beside himself. Oh, my God. Chris Cillizza is so... Why does no one have a mask on? Because someone said Las Vegas is officially back, and they got it seen going through the casino, and Chris Cillizza is mad that nobody is wearing masks. Oh my God. But those crowds of 100 or less in all those protests that are all not practicing social distancing, and that's just fine. Anyway, I just thought this was hilarious. Why does no one have a mask on? And I think I replied in here somewhere, something funny. Oh, well, here. Okay, so why is no one wearing a mask? Chris Cillizza. And down here we got what? Joe? I don't. These are protesters. That's a picture of protesters. Thousands there. Not social distancing. I mean, it looks like they're trying to, but then you look here. Oh, I don't think these protesters are social distancing at all. And, whatever. Oh no, my people aren't going to vote for Hillary either. But she's going to, I got a feeling they're going to find a way to make her the nominee. I don't know why I think that. I have a feeling that they're just going to, somehow Joe's going to find a way to drop out, and they're going to try to fill it in with Hillary. I don't know. BG, what's up? I didn't see you there. Furry Kitten, how you doing? I think I've got caught up. All right, a couple more bookmarks, and then I got to get out of here. One is this thread. I'm gonna say this is a great thread, and it sums up kind of how I feel a lot about this. But I'm gonna skip that for now. Also, yes, we already know Maj Touré retweeted this. St. Louis police charged 24-year-old Stephen Canada with first-degree murder in the death of retired Sergeant David Dorn. We already read that article, so I'll move on. This one, somebody, you gotta miss me with this bullshit. Call me when y'all start rioting again. This is where I tap out, according to Options Carl. Here it is. White protesters wash the feet of black protest organizers and beg for forgiveness in Cary, North Carolina. Get the fuck out of here with that shit. Are you kidding me? Oh my, this is embarrassing. That is some white liberal bullshit if I've ever seen it in my life. I'm sorry. I just can't. I just cannot do it. Oh my goodness. Marsupio Gamer, who sometimes comes into our show, says, I keep asking this ever since one of the people bowing, where do they find so many mentally ill lunatics? I wonder the same damn thing myself, and that's certainly not social distancing, and I ain't washing anybody's feet but my own. Feet are nasty. All right, moving on. Last couple here. Central problem with police isn't... Dave Smith, I don't know who... He's a comic. The central problem with police isn't about race. It's about monopoly. We need some sort of defense protection. We need some group to hold violent criminals accountable. So let's defund the monopoly and allow competition just like we do with countries, the countless other vital services. That's an interesting thought. Someone else was talking about privatizing the police. And even some of these cities, they're talking about privatizing the police. But wait, there's an irony here. These people who want to defund the police and then maybe have some kind of private police force, whatever not, aren't these the same motherfuckers who are always talking about private prisons? That's where I'm gonna stop. And then Hotep Jesus with the Hotep gem of the day. I might have to do a Hotep gem of the day because Hotep Jesus and Uncle Hotep, a couple other the Hotep people, always have a gem out there. Hotep Jesus is just a little over 12 hours ago says, over 30 Obama administration officials are due to testify in court over Obamagate. In case you were wondering what these protests were distracting us from. Oh, Lord! Damn! Hotep Jesus with the gem of the day. All right. Finally, let's go to this thread by Ami Paris. It's a little bit long. Let's see. Maybe I'll save this one because I'm running out of time here. Actually, I might just make a standalone video about this. I'll put it in. I'll put the thread in the chat if you want to read it in advance. But it is probably one of the most. It really kind of sums up what I kind of feel about that. I'll just give you a little taste of it. I'll lose many friends over what I'm about to say. I will possibly be called racist or even a white supremacist, even though I'm a brown man who's been beaten to a pulp by neo-Nazis wearing steel-toed boots. But maybe, just maybe, the fact that I'm getting 100% of my information from black scholars in the picture, the great Thomas Sowell, Glenn Lowry, W. Steele, John McWhorter, Coleman Hughes, Kamele Foster, and Thomas Chatterton William will allow me some room for thought. I've been watching the narrative play universally over the heinous killing of George Floyd, and the complete utter lack of facts about African Americans in the U.S. has been infuriating. Unfortunately, anyone who doesn't submit to the dominant narrative will be called a heretic, a racist, a white supremacist, a coon, etc. Still, I can't stop myself. 1. Black Lives Matter don't care about black people. Want evidence? Name me a single time, just once, when they've protested against black people being killed by other black people, whether in America or elsewhere. Why is this relevant? Because the biggest cause of death for black men aged 14 to 45 in the United States is other black men. compared to white people, where it's traffic accidents for the younger portion and heart attacks for those over 35. Or how about black lives in Sudan, East Timor, Libya? Why do we only ever hear from Black Lives Matter when it's a white person killing a black person? Number 2, speaking of which, imagine if white people started doing the reverse. Imagine every time a white person was killed by a black person, there'd be protests, riots, looting, and social media campaigns. First thing to notice is that it would be more frequent because African Americans kill more white people in the U.S. than white people kill African Americans. Now what? Should we really start applying the race card every time there's a murder involving more than one pigmentation? Where will it end? Number 3, police killings. The video of the murder of George Floyd is so visceral by showing the casual evil with which Officer Derek Chauvin kills George Floyd. People are rightly outraged, and no one can honestly defend the officer, who rightly has been arrested and hopefully will spend his remaining years behind bars. Although the prosecutor has been idiotic in moving the case from third-degree murder to second-degree murder. He miswrote there, and he corrected it later, so I'll read it the correct way. A burden of proof they will most likely fail. But the reason people are up in arms about these is that the social media and the MSM attention focuses disproportionately on these incidents when the victim is black and the officer isn't. Don't believe me? Well, let's prove it. You've heard of Tamir Rice, a 12-year-old black boy who was murdered when brandishing a toy gun. It was all over the news. There were riots and marches, hashtags, and universal condemnation all over the media. But how many of you have heard of Daniel Shaver or the other 9 kids who were killed with toy guns that year by police? A white man who was showing his friends a scoped air rifle used to exterminate birds who entered his store and was killed for this. You may remember the case of Sam Dubose, a black man who was shot dead driving his car away from police. The exact same thing happened before that to Andrew Thomas, a white man driving away from police. None of you have heard of him. Alton Sterling was a black man shot dead by police when reaching into his pocket for his wallet, a travesty. The same thing happened to a white guy named Dylan Noble. Sterling made national headlines. None of us heard a word about Noble. Lauren Simpson was a white teenager who was shot dead by police in an eerily similar circumstances to George Zimmerman killed Trayvon Martin. You've not heard of the former, but demanded justice for the latter. You've not heard of James Boyd, Alfred Redwine, Brandon Stanley, or Mary Hawks, but you've heard of Alton Sterling and Philando Castile. Because the only times police killings made the news is when the victim is black and the officer isn't, at least nationally. It makes it local news. Here's an FBI, NCJRS, and BJS statistics. For every 10,000 black people arrested for a violent crime, 3 are killed by police. For every 10,000 white people arrested for a violent crime, 4 are killed by police. In 2019, 49 unarmed people were killed by police, 9 were black, 19 were white. The likelihood for a black person being shot by the police is as high as being struck by lightning. Again, that's my man bites dog theory. But police shouldn't be killing people that are unarmed. I'm not saying that it's right. Yet we are seeing riots every single Instagram post on Instagram and Twitter is in support of Black Lives Matter and denunciation of police in America. 4, systemic racism, institutionalized racism. Sounds good, don't they? Such powerful words. Both insinuate built-in racism within various official institutions, police, law, governments. Yet when they are challenged by asking the proponents to provide evidence for these, nothing is provided. Name a single law that is targeting exclusively black people. Just one. There isn't one. If the police is systematically anti-black, explain how it's possible that 20% of the police force in America are people of color. He originally said black, then he corrected it. He meant people of color, and but there's about 12 to 13% of police forces are black, which is on par with our population. Anyway, how is it possible that this much of the police force in America are black? Okay, he corrected that, so I'm not going to read that paragraph. Now imagine how incredibly racist it is to say that the 100,000 plus black police officers are too stupid to know that they are working inside and within a racist institution. that really is racism, and none of them have come out and said anything. None of them have gone on 60 Minutes and said, we're being trained to be racist. Seriously. How about governments? Well, let's leave aside the fact that America just had a 2-term black president whose second name was Hussein, by the way. Some of America's worst run cities have black mayors, black governors, and majority black city councils. Look at the 2 worst cities, look at 2 of the worst cities in America to be black in, Baltimore and Chicago. Why is it that a place where people in power are black can be worse for African Americans? Community than cities that aren't run by black politicians. This is a knockdown argument. 5, disparity. People often look at economic disparities between blacks and whites and claim it to be evidence for institutionalized racism. It says something about the power of a narrative when it has been debunked decades ago by black economists like Thomas Sowell. Yet the myth persists. But Thomas Sowell's a coon, remember? Don't you remember? He's a bootlicking sellout coon. No, Thomas Sowell is one of the greatest economists alive. First of all, at no point in human history has 2 groups of people had the same level of wealth or income as each other. It would be an absolute miracle to expect that people with different backgrounds, cultures, histories, values, and ethics have the same level of wealth. This is even true within so-called races. Compare, for example, black Americans, generational, versus black immigrants. Now, this is an argument that kind of pisses off most black people, but we'll still read it. Particularly the ones from the West Indies, Jamaica, Barbados. You couldn't tell these people apart by just looking at them, and whatever racism is in place for one group must be by definition applied to the second group. But what they have is completely different values and work ethics. The Jamaicans arriving in the U.S. do so commonly to achieve greater heights than what he or she can have in their home country. Whatever level of systemic racism exists, they are subjected to it as much as the African American. Yet, already in the 1970s, when racism was far more prevalent than it is today, black Americans from the West Indies were earning 58% more than black Americans whose generations go back centuries in the United States. How could that be if there's supposed to be such a thing as systemic racism? Well, never mind. I'm not going to give you answers to any of these right now. Disparity, I'm going to talk about it when I make the video. Disparities are only proof of disparities. Just because group X doesn't have the same as group Y doesn't mean that it's explained by racism. And why does this so-called white supremacy only run against one group of black Americans? Why doesn't it run against Asian Americans who out-earn white Americans by over 60%? Why does it not apply to Jewish Americans or Indian Americans, all of whom earn more than white Americans? Maybe there's something else going on. Oh, and Nigerian Americans, too. In 1965, Daniel Patrick Moynihan published a report, The Negro Family, the case for national action, where he saw that African American households were 25% single mothers, a frightening statistic that would have devastating consequences. Since then, Jim Crow laws and redlining have all been removed from the books. Martin Luther King Jr. and the civil rights movement have made tremendous strides, and we've now even had a black 2-term president. But today, black households with no paternal figure and only a single mother constitute 75% of all black households in America. 75. Now, that's a caveat there. Apparently there are... that doesn't mean that black fathers are not involved in those households, but in a lot of them not. Anyway, there's studies that say black male parents are involved with their kids as much as white parents, but not living in the same home can be an issue when it comes to discipline of kids. Anyway, but today, black households with no... Okay, I already said that. Now, you tell me, where's the better explanation for young black children ending up in a life of crime, the lack of a father figure, or the mythical, non-explainable entity known as institutional racism, for which for some reason doesn't apply to Nigerian immigrants, to black immigrants from the West Indies, to Indian people or Jewish people, or to Asian Americans? Number 6, criminality. Why are blacks being disproportionately imprisoned? There's a racist prison industrial complex. The key word here is disproportionately, because it's most certain it's most certainly true that African Americans make out the majority of prisoners in America. But what is the evidence of that? What's the evidence that this is disproportionate? It's non-existent. Let's look at the stats. Black Americans constitute roughly 14% of the population in America, yet they commit 50% of all the murders. But this is misleading because it's not the elderly, nor the children, nor the women who commit the murders. It's almost exclusively the young men, 15 to 40, that constitute about a fourth of the black population, which means that about 3.5% of the American population are responsible for 50% of all the murders. Read this again. 3.5% of Americans are responsible for 50% of all murders. You will find similar astonishing figures for drug-related crimes, armed robberies, breaking and entering, and gang violence. So even though it is true that black people make up a majority of the prison population, the incarceration rates are only proportionate to against the crime rate, not the population. History of slavery, Jim Crow, and redlining. Well, that may be so, but it's because the history of slavery and Jim Crow. That's the line you hear often. I don't doubt the good intentions of those making these arguments, but they don't actually see how it is. The classic case of racism of lower expectations. No one has been able to provide a logical link between the historical racism and the plight of people today, except for when it comes to generational wealth. That's a whole other story. But there's a lot of people who don't have generational wealth that move up and down the economic ladder. So that can't always be an excuse. First of all, what's unique about racism in America and Britain, for that matter, is that these countries abolished slavery when they did. They were among the first countries in the world to do so, and Americans even fought a bloody civil war to implement the 13th Amendment. Almost every country in the world practiced slavery, and there are many, particularly in sub-Saharan Africa, who still do to this day. And it is most certainly is true that racism didn't end with slavery, and evil practices such as Jim Crow, segregation, and redlining were practiced until the 70s. In fact, my parents experienced that in the late 60s. The redlining, excuse me. In fact, my mother, she went to college in the 50s in Nashville, Tennessee, and had to ride on the back of the bus. My great-grandfather on my dad's side was born a slave. I know what they're talking about. It's not that long ago, but certainly somehow hasn't affected me, although I was adopted, but even then, that's the family I grew up in. That's what I knew. I'm doing just fine, people. Just letting you know I'm okay. Thank you. But don't hesitate throwing something in the tip jar if you got a couple extra bucks, because I can always use it. And hey, got more stuff to do in the studio here. Anyway, now before anyone makes the nonsensical claim that you're saying we should oppress them then because they had it better, let me explain the correlation. That correlation does not mean causation, but just as facts don't care. Oh, I skipped a part, didn't I? Oh. Okay, anyway. Moving on. 8, America is a white supremacist society. This is one of the most egregious claims out there. First of all, compared to what? Show me a country where blacks are a minority but still get to be elected presidents, have more than 50 mayors, congressmen and women, run city councils, and have had multiple presidential candidates. Show me one. America and Britain are two of the least racist societies on earth and in history. For God's sake, look at the response from the murder of George Floyd. Just look at the outpouring of support for black people, the universal condemnation of racism from exactly all corners of the political spectrum, and the complete solidarity from every white person with a social media account. 9, Black Lives Matter. This is a big one because I got to finish up here soon. Because I don't know of many organizations who care less about black lives than Black Lives Matter. 93% of all killings of black people are done by other black people. BLM are completely silent on this. BLM has never, not a single time, had a march or a campaign about black people being killed en masse in places like Sudan, Eritrea, Somalia, or Libya. Instead, what they have done is have chants like pigs in a blanket, fry them like bacon, about the police, which inspired a lunatic in Dallas to murder 3 police officers. During the current riots, a 77-year-old black former police captain, David Dorn, was murdered by rioters. BLM has still yet to say a word about it. I embellished that. BLM rejected Martin Luther King's sentiment that people should be judged on the content of their character, not the color of their skin. If you actually listen to the I Have a Dream speech, that line is the one that gets the loudest cheers and applause. BLM believe people who aspire to apply this principle of colorblindness are racist. Conclusion. I can go on and on. I provided my sources below, and I can point to the works of economists and criminologists and historians for further data, but I don't know it will matter. The narrative is too strong and people are too emotionally invested. Facts don't stand a chance. People are keen to use the tragic murder of George Floyd to wave their anti-racism badges and flags. It makes them feel good. Black friends of mine, he has black friends, good for him, who are incredibly successful in their fields are talking about how they've been victims all their lives, even though they are some of the luckiest people who've ever lived, regardless of race. All I ask of you, if you're reading this or hearing it from PDawg Night, and I doubt many will, certainly not to the end, is to ask yourself, what if what Amir is saying is true? That's all I can hope for. So I'll put this in the chat again if you want to read it and see the sources he uses. It pretty much explains how I feel about it in some ways. I mean, there's certain aspects that I can see different arguments for. But that'd be, if I had written, I couldn't have written that better myself, because that's my 2 cents on this. So anyway, all right, gang, I gotta go. This is the end of the show. Thank you for joining me on Metal Monday aftermath. And if you'd be so kind, before you leave, on the way out, please hit the like button if you like what we do, or the dislike button if you didn't like it. If you have criticism, put them in the chat, or excuse me, in the comment section down below. Once this goes up to video, if you're watching on replay, comment. Throw a comment in so I can know you were here and acknowledge that. Also, if you share the video. That's important. Hit the share button down there and share it on social media, or you can retweet on Twitter. And the last thing, if you want to support the show in a more substantial way, you can throw a couple bucks in the tip jar through the Streamlabs link down below. Not required. The show is always free. Everything I do here is free, but it does give me great incentive to keep going. So anyway, that's it for today, people. I have places to go, people to see, things to do, and more flowers to plant. So my name is PDawg Night, and I'm out of here. Bye-bye. Hey, this is PDawg Night, and thank you for watching today on the PDawg Night channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterward so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through the Streamlabs link, which is also in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm PDawg Night, and I'm out of here.